Guys, you are never going to believe this. You know those tariffs Donald Trump announced last week that sent stock markets crashing and caused a global financial tailspin and sparked intense backlash from his own supporters on Wall Street and in the Republican Party and shattered American alliances and used made-up numbers and put tariffs on penguins and caused his own advisors to engage in a public war of words in which one of them called the other a moron and forced Trump to issue a statement telling everyone to be cool and hang tough, except he accidentally wrote the words Hank Tough, which sounds like the name of a fake advisor he would invent to blame for his stupid tariff plan. Don't blame me, blame senior White House advisor Hank Tough and his buddy, the lemonade kingpin Mike Hard. Well, this might shock you, but today Trump paused most of those tariffs for 90 days. One day after his White House said he would not pause tariffs, and about 2 months after he announced, then paused, then announced, then paused, then announced tariffs on Canada and Mexico, then left them out of the tariff announcement, then said he wouldn't pause them, then pause them? Well, I mean, at least we're 2 years into the Trump presidency, right? What? It's only been 80 days? All right, don't freak out. Just be cool, everybody. Hank Tough. Damn it, now I'm doing it. For more on a closer look. You might remember that when Trump made his big tariff announcement at the White House last week, he held up a chart that looked like he stole the menu from a drive-thru, ticked off a bunch of numbers no one could read or understand.
European Union, we're going to charge them 20%. Vietnam, they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, 64%. We're going to charge them 32%. Japan, 46%. We're charging them 24%. India, 52%. Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49%. United Kingdom, 10%. And we'll go 10%. South Africa, 60%, 30%. Brazil, 10%, 10%, Bangladesh, 74%, Pakistan, 58%, Sri Lanka, 88%.
First of all, I love how he says Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, like he's doing a vocal warm-up. That's how I used to get ready before I go out for Weekend Update. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Weekend Update, Peking Cupcake. Also, why did saying South Africa make him so sad?
South Africa,
Is it because Elon's from South Africa? Sadly, we had to put tariffs on Elon. He can no longer afford his big old chainsaw. From now on, he's going to be waving a balloon sword from medieval times. Now, if you're wondering where those numbers came from, I can explain. The Office of the USTR, which stands for United States Trade Representative, uses a complicated statistical method. They pull those numbers from DTASS, which stands for Donald Trump's ass. None of these numbers made any sense. And you could tell they didn't make any sense because even Trump's cabinet officials couldn't defend it.
President Trump laid out with a giant graphic of all the countries where tariffs were going to be, what he called reciprocal tariffs were going to be imposed. And you're imposing a 10% tariff on the herd in McDonald Islands. The herd in McDonald Islands have 0 human inhabitants. They have 0 exports. They have 0 imports. They do have a lot of penguins. Why are you putting import tariffs on islands that are entirely populated by penguins?
Well, I mean, come on, Jake. Obviously, here's the bottom line. We live under a tariff regime from other countries. We have too long
the McDonald Islands is not imposing
the idea that America goes first. I mean, come on. Whatever. Listen, the people that are leading this are serious, intentional, patriotic, the smartest people I've ever worked with.
Although, now that I think of it, Jake, one of them is a leopard seal, and they hate penguins. Also, not the great comeback you think that is. When your response to why are they putting tariffs on Penguin Island is they're the smartest people I've ever worked with, what you're really saying is, I've worked with some real dummies. And what was your previous job? Did you work at a gas leak factory? I'm telling you, Jake, they were some real dead-eyed slack-jawed oafs. A lot of them even never made it into the office because they kept pushing on the front door that was clearly labeled pull. So compared to them, Jake, these current morons, they're geniuses. Now, After all that, after the big White House announcement and days of market turmoil and global uncertainty and cabinet officials defending him on TV, Trump is backing down.
We have major breaking news into CNN on the global trade war. President Trump just truthed out saying, quote, I have authorized a 90-day pause. The president here announcing a 90-day pause on tariffs.
You hear that, Madagascar? You're off the hook. None of this makes any sense, especially because just yesterday, Trump's White House said he was definitely not considering a pause.
Is he considering at all potentially holding off on imposing some of them before the deadline, or maybe later, reversing them because he's having these negotiations and having these good talks with other leaders?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset. He expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect.
No, that wasn't his mindset. Donald Trump doesn't have a mindset. He reacts to news the way a Roomba reacts to walls. The pause is happening because Trump unleashed chaos on the economy for no reason. Even his own supporters on Wall Street have been flipping out, and it's worth remembering they were ecstatic when Trump won in November.
The markets are already reacting to Donald Trump's historic election.
Trump's projected win is turbocharging Wall Street. Right now, the Dow futures over 1,000 points.
The fence sitters and skeptics are jumping on the Trump bandwagon as if the president-elect said higher stock prices and lower taxes for all. And that's how you get today's action, with the Dow gaining 440 points. This is to an all-time high.
We're stepping into, I would say, the most pro-growth, pro-business, pro-American administration I've perhaps seen in my adult lifetime. Everyone is incredibly enthusiastic, really about a new administration that's about efficiency, removing the impediments to growth, deregulation. I think a lot of confidence that comes from that.
A lot of bankers, they're like dancing in the street.
Which could be excitement about the economy, but could also be cocaine. I'm not saying it's cocaine. I'm just saying that when a New York banker dances, it's not a 0% chance cocaine is involved. Also, policy aside, I will admit I'm super jealous of Jim Cramer's soundboard.
This is to an all-time high.
Of course, when the market was tanking this week, they had to replace it with the soundboard they used for Debbie Downer. But even when they were jubilant, the one hesitation Wall Street had was over Trump's tariffs. They just got over it by convincing themselves he would do it in a very measured, thoughtful manner.
I think the overarching theme is President Trump will do nothing that interferes with the success of the country, the success of the economy. That's absolutely his number. Other than our national defense, that's his number one issue. So I think he's going to be very thoughtful about tariffs.
Man, what a bummer when your money is on thoughtful and then you wake up to penguin tariffs. AKA the opposite of thoughtful. In fact, penguin tariffs should be new slang for when someone is deeply unthoughtful. Oh my God. You got me an Amazon gift card for our anniversary where they sold out penguin tariffs? Well, it won't surprise you to learn that the same people who convinced themselves that Trump would think things through got super mad when he actually went ahead with the tariffs in the most chaotic way possible.
JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, in a letter to shareholders, says tariffs will likely increase inflation, slow the U.S. economy, and could cause a recession. Billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, who endorsed President Trump's campaign, posted on X that if Trump doesn't pause the tariffs, quote, we're heading for a self-induced economic nuclear winter.
I went deep on the numbers today, and the numbers did not make any sense. What bothered me, Aaron, was that they really did, over and over again, the president said, listen, it's going to be reciprocal. So you do it, we do it, and that was going to be so good. And I really believed in it. And I feel like a sucker tonight.
Look, I appreciate anyone who's willing to admit they were wrong, but why did you guys convince yourself after everything we've been through that Trump would do this in a way that makes sense? Are you guys, wait a minute, are you guys not watching a closer look? You're talking about Donald Trump, a man who claimed just the other day that in other countries, they drop bowling balls on cars.
It's tariffs where they put things on that make it impossible for you to sell a car. It's not a money thing. They make it so difficult, the standards and the tests. They drop a bowling ball on the top of your car from 20 feet up in the air, and if there's a little dent, they say, no, I'm sorry, your car doesn't qualify.
What are you talking? Are you thinking about Looney Tunes again? Is that what? They drop bowling balls on cars and anvils on heads, and then they paint fake tunnels on the sides of cliffs. And You have to strap ourselves to rockets to catch them, but it doesn't work. So you walk across the cavern, and then you realize halfway through we're standing on thin air, and we hold up a little sign that says, uh-oh, nobody knows where the little sign comes from, but we always have the little sign. It comes in handy, and then we fall, and there's a whistling sound. And then a boom, and I remember, Roadrunner came up to me, big Roadrunner, strong Roadrunner. 1 minute he wasn't there, and then he was there, and then tears pouring down his eyes onto his big cartoon feathers, giant feet, and he said to me, sir, meep, meep. And the Wall Street execs weren't the only ones flipping out. Republican senators were getting squeamish too, although it was subtle. See if you can tell how North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis felt about the tariffs from his hearing yesterday with Trump's trade representative.
Whose throat do I get to choke if this proves to be wrong?
Well, Senator, you can certainly always talk to me.
Never a good sign when a congressional hearing sounds like a couple of people working out the rules before some BDSM. And if the choking is too much, is there a word you'd like me to use? My safe word is sassafras, sir. Trump supporters on Wall Street and the Republican Party freaked out, which is why he caved and paused the tariffs. He thought telling everyone to chill out would work, but it did not.
The president urging folks not to panic here. He's putting out a tweet saying, be cool, everything is going to work out well. The U.S. will be bigger and better than ever before.
Wow, you take that to the bank. Nobody knows more about cool than a 78-year-old golfer with words on his hat. Trump's cooler than an island penguin ripping the U.S. off with unfair trade deals. Trump keeps announcing, then pausing these tariffs, causing turmoil in financial markets while he yanks us around. Well, I want it to stop, so I would just like to say sassafras. All of this chaos is happening for no reason, and in the process, it's hurting real people. It'd be nice if the Trump backers who got duped on tariffs the first time learned this lesson, although I'm not holding out hope. This is what Trump likes, pulling strings, watching the world freak out at his every whim. At this point, I feel so dazed and disoriented. It's like I got hit on the head with a
bowling ball.
This has been a closer look.
It's a fight-off!